Welcome to Tequila Chats. Today's guest is Alina Wolhardt. She is an award-winning interior designer with an impressive roster of clients, from celebrities to real estate developers. Her firm, Wolfmanship Design, is a bi-coastal firm with offices in Boston and in LA. Alina, welcome to Tequila Chats. You want to try a little bit of this delicious? Actually, I've had it before. I actually do love it.
Sure.
Cheers. Let me see. It's pretty delicious. What do you think? It's nice like this, right? I like it neat instead of on the rocks. I think
I
it's
don't
pretty
usually
good.
do this, but it's
Oh
good.
well,
I
listen,
like
it is
2 o'clock?
6 o'clock in Boston, so why not do it? Perfect time. But before we start, Alina, congratulations on your fantastic big award from the IFDA. That's
Thank
pretty impressive.
Thank you.
And then I also saw that incredible feature on Aspire magazine.
Yes.
It's pretty amazing. That's great.
Thank you.
So let's start this conversation. I think you've heard me say this before. When it comes to business, I think our childhood experiences, the way in which we were brought up, kind of like really inform the way in which we approach not only our lives and the world, but really when we get in business or into that work mode, I think it also informs a lot of those elements. What is your origin story? Where does Alina Wolhardt comes from, and how that inform where you are right now in terms of your business?
Well, I, as you know, grew up in Tokyo, Japan, and my mom's Japanese, my dad's Danish, and my mom was always in the design world. Like, she did more table settings and retail displays, but I think watching...
Actually, I didn't know that. I didn't know that she was also in the design world. I can see it now that
So watching her, do all of that, I feel like I was always, sort of encompassed in the design world. So I think that had a big influence on me wanting to do what I do now.
Yes.
And I think also being brought up in a culture where design is so carefully done, there's
But
so much
thoughtful. Japanese design is so thoughtful.
Yeah, and there's so much compassion and love brought to the craft. And also Denmark being sort of the mecca of the design world.
Yes.
I feel like I had to.
So
I had to be a designer.
two incredible design inspirations, but you were really, it feels like you have always knew that this is what you wanted to do. Is that the case?
No, not necessarily. I think I had a feeling I wanted to do it, but I didn't necessarily think I could do it, or I didn't think this could be a profession. In Japan, it's still really not a huge career to be an interior designer. So I think growing up in Japan, I didn't know that being an interior designer was an option. And I think when I started applying to universities in Boston, and I saw interior design was a major, I'm oh, I didn't know you could actually study it.
Yes.
And so I sort of fell into it in a way.
Yes.
And once you got into it, you have to sort of immerse yourself.
Yes. But you work up to this point before you open Wolfmanship Design, which is your company right now, and you work for some pretty high-profile designers, architectural firms and the design firms. How do you feel like they shaped your vision of the business and the vision of what you wanted to do?
So when I was still in school, I was able to work for Duncan Hughes, who's a good friend of Jay's, my husband's.
Yeah.
And it was just him and I. So him operating on a day-to-day basis, I really sort of got the hands-on experience working for him, right? I saw all aspects of the design, and also running your own business.
Yes.
So I was there for maybe 4 years, and
you guys were doing pretty amazing stuff. If I remember, you were doing stuff here in LA for movie stars, the full spectrum of things, which is great.
So I learned so much from him. And then I worked at Elkis Manfredi Architects, a big company in Boston and super high profile.
Yes.
So having both of those experiences, I think I felt somewhat
Yes.
ready.
Yes, yes. No, you should be. At that point, you have so much more experience than you could ever imagine, right?
Yeah. So, you never know until you try, right?
Yeah.
So when I thought like I wanted to start my own business, like, we didn't have kids, like we didn't have.
But what was the motivation to say, okay, I have these great jobs, I'm working with these great companies, with these great people, and I'm gonna do my thing.
Well, I think it's because Jay was looking into opening a store in LA, and I wanted to be able to travel with him and be with him and not have to be stuck sort of at a desk job.
Yes.
I wanted the potential flexibility.
Yeah.
So that motivated me.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, like if I fail, I can always go back.
I guess, but when I look at your portfolio, you do it all, right? From residential to commercial to, new construction, custom work, like that full kind of like spectrum of it. And you're doing it not only in Boston, but as you mentioned, you're also doing it in LA and every place kind of like in between. So the success, I think, is very apparent in your business, and we're friends, and I've known you for a long time, and I'm so proud of you for really just taking the chances. Most people would have just stayed where they were because these were great, people to be working with, as I mentioned earlier. But you decided to go your own way, and certainly you made it your own. And you have such a committed, defined aesthetic that it's just wonderful to see you like flourish on your business. But let me ask you a question from the business perspective. Is there any place where you feel there was a tipping point? It was any moment, and I'm talking about in your history as part of like Wolfing Ship Design, in which you suddenly open your eyes. I'm like, what the heck? This is really one of those moments in which my business is changing. Do you mind sharing that?
I feel like I haven't tipped yet.
Well, I don't know about that. I think that you're being a little bit too shy about your accomplishments and what you're doing.
Well, I feel like there's always room to grow.
Yes, of course.
Right? And I guess I want to do more.
Yes.
And so there's that, like in the sense that I feel like you have to strive for more, and you have to strive to become a better designer, to become a better, version of yourself.
Yes, yes.
And I think part of that like keeps me going and like keeps me growing.
Yes.
No, I appreciate you saying like, this, and I do. Like there are times, especially the buildings that, like some of the buildings we've done together.
Yes.
When it's done.
It's a huge accomplishment.
And you like walk by and you see that. I think that's probably like, wow, like I'm part of a cityscape.
Yes, exactly.
Like you're something changing, you worked on.
Well, you're changing the cityscape, but you're also changing how people live in that city, which is really, which is pretty. Like, I think that's the real impact is that, right?
Yeah, or like you do like some of the flower bakeries that I've done, and people like telling me, I was like, oh, you did that? Like that's very cool.
Well, those are spaces again that people are enjoying on a regular basis. That doing. Yeah. I think that sometimes, and I'm speaking for myself, but I've noticed this pattern in other people that kind of like start their business from the ground, is that we tend to kind of like miss those points in which the business really shifts because we are so preoccupied with the with the day-to-day operation. And I think I discovered for myself that only recently I can look back and be like, oh crap, I should have enjoyed more this part of it. I should have enjoyed, I shouldn't worry so much about this very specific thing, and I should have just, you know what I'm talking about, right?
I feel like I can tell when you tipped.
Yeah.
Right? Because like I'm watching you from outside.
Yes.
Not, I mean.
No. Yes.
But like when you're in it, it's hard to imagine. Like it's hard to see.
Yes. Totally.
Because you're.
But listen, I'm telling you, I watch you, from the sides and sometimes front row, and you've tipped. You certainly have. You certainly
You're doing
have.
the same shit, and your deal. So.
This is a family program, don't you? Seriously. But now, let's talk about your success, and let's not be shy about this whole stuff. What do you think you've learned the most from your success?
I think again, like you have to be confident.
Yes.
And you have to have your own voice.
Yeah.
And I think because people are coming to you for your expertise, right? So I think you can't be shy about your opinions.
Yes.
I think we both don't have that
Yes,
issue.
no, we don't have that
there.
problem now, yes.
But I really felt that way, that, because there's clients for every designer, there's, designers for every client, like,
Yes.
and I think you just need to know who you are and not sort of compromise
Yes.
who you are because of a client, or, because if it's not going to work out, it's not going to work out. And I think trying to force something, it never panned out looking back. Right?
Yes.
Like, and then if you had like a gut feeling of like something that's not going to go right, and you try to force it, looking back, like it's never worked out. So I feel like, staying sort of true to yourself.
Yeah.
But also at the same time trying to be humble,
Yes,
about
of course.
it.
Yeah.
I think has
paid off, yes.
Yeah, and the same clients have comes back, right? You have your repeat clients.
Yes, which is
so that's
the way that you build a sustain, a longevity in your business.
And also, like, it's a testament to the relationships, I think, that I've built with the clients.
Yes, but you mentioned your gut feeling. Is that intuition, that gut feeling, you think it's been an important part of your business growth and of your success?
Well, I think it's about, doing design, working with clients. It's such an intimate relationship, right? And it's usually a very long
Yes, it is. You
relationship,
spend years with people.
right?
Yes,
Years.
Yeah.
So that is, I think, the core, right? When it comes down to it.
Yes.
It's the relationships, and it's making sure that they value your opinion.
Yeah.
And that, they understand like what they're hiring you for.
Yes.
And I think like the gut feelings of like when, I had a feeling it wasn't going to work out, is when that sort of the alignment wasn't there.
Yes. Yes.
And I think it sort of falls apart.
And so, what do you think? What is your most, proud accomplishment in your career?
I think, having 2 offices, right? Like one on each coast, like that sort of is a, proud moment. And also like just getting recognized with, awards for the projects you've done.
Yeah.
That's definitely a really nice.
Let me ask you a question. Is that kind of like the award part? In my world, the award part is dictated by production and certain things, right? In my part of the world.
Right.
For you, in some ways, it's a subjective, assessment.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? It must be, I don't know, a very humbling experience to know
definitely.
that your colleagues think that you are this good, that
100%.
you can get an award, right?
Yeah, and again, design is subjective, right? And there's so many different types of style. So to be recognized by the people you respect, means a lot.
So now, just like you have learned from your success, what have you learned from your failures?
Keep going. You have to learn from your mistakes, and that's, I think, is how you can grow as a designer. But I try to take every mistake I made as a learning experience, and just got to keep going.
Yeah, and but now let me ask you a question. This is maybe a silly question, but as you look at your success, you look at your failures, you look at your business kind of like running and continue to grow, as you mentioned, what would you say is like your biggest pet peeve when it comes to your business?
Pet peeve.
I'm just curious because I know mine.
What's yours?
You want to know? I have too many today.
Well.
No, I'd say one of them is for me is like lack of attention to detail. I think that small mistakes. Mistakes are inevitable, right? In my business, I think in life, mistakes are inevitable. But I would say that small mistakes sometimes are unnecessary. And to me, a pet peeve are small mistakes, because sometimes they just read, or they come from, maybe you're not paying enough attention, maybe you don't care at that point of what's happening. I feel like if you're going to make a mistake, just make an earnest big mistake, and we can figure that out. But little things are, to me, are like really harder to justify to a client.
Yeah.
And so to me, that's a big pet peeve. So if you're posting something on social media and you are misspelling, don't misspell stuff. That means that you didn't even read it twice.
Right.
You know, those little things to me are like the stuff that just gets me kind of like going in my world. What about yours?
Like when it just talking about like design stuff, right? Like, yeah, I mean, I have so many, like the list it probably is too long, but like lighting is so important.
Yeah.
So like, I think you have to really like not cheap out on lighting, or like cohesive lighting.
Yes.
When the lighting temperature is all over the place,
Yes.
that is like a huge pet peeve.
Yeah.
And then like everything you touch every day is where you should like really spend money on, like hardware, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're gonna light switches,
That
I know it's
sounds
like
so counterintuitive.
right,
Yes.
but you
Yeah.
touch it every day.
Yeah.
And I think when that feels like luxurious,
Yeah.
you know, you can really make a house. I mean, there's a lot of,
Yeah.
and then the scale being wrong, like, you know.
Yeah, yes,
So,
yes.
but that's why you hire a professional.
Yes. How do you define luxury in your world, in your business?
When it's not in your face, quiet luxury,
Yeah.
I think. You know, nothing too flashy.
Yeah.
Where it's like quality
Yeah.
that, you know, it stands the test of time.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you can show off, right? Every which way you want it,
Yeah.
right? Like it's like wearing clothing with like
Yeah.
branding,
Yes. Yes.
right? Versus
Yeah.
like when someone
Yeah,
does
for like
is,
the fake
yeah.
the quality of it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I always argue that in my business, luxury is an experience. In real estate, it's not about the price point, is the experience that we provide our clients, regardless of the price point they're engaging. And I think that has provided for us kind of like longevity. You know,
Yeah.
it's part of our ethos.
Yeah, and
you
I
know.
think you know, I talk about design in the sense that it should really touch all elements, right?
Yes.
It's not just about the looks,
Yes.
right? We need to think about the smells.
Yes.
We need to think about the temperature. We need to. It's everything. And so when, like you're saying, you know, it is the experience, and I think we need to make sure it's catered to our client, and so
Yes.
that changes
Yeah.
from client to client. But you know, something that's customized to the end user, I think is, you know, true luxury.
What do you think is the future of design?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm worried.
Come on, you must have an instinct as to what it is.
I don't know. I think there has been movement the last, you know, few years where people are like going back to the roots, where like real stone is getting used more again versus like quartz, and like you know, for a while there was like a lot of the man-made,
Yes, yes.
engineered,
Yeah, the engineer, like
you know,
durability and
yeah,
yes.
all that stuff
What's
was
more
like getting
important,
pushed really hard. And maybe this is like what I'm hoping it's going to go back to. But I really hope that this more the craft
Yeah.
and, you know, like really working with people that really specializes in craft rather than like, you know, buying a mass product
Yes.
stuff, right? Because all that kind of stuff like goes back into the landfills.
Yeah.
And so I hope, you know, and I feel like it's part of our job to, you know, like work with our clients, know where to spend your money, like which pieces to spend the, you know, extra money so that it can get reupholstered.
Yes.
Versus, you know, save a few $1,000s and it's not going to last you that many
Yes.
years.
Yeah.
So I hope that sort of there's more of a movement, you know, going back.
But I feel that I do feel that it is happening. I think that in some ways, it's, let's say social media really has created kind of like an issue. I think because social media is so visual and there are so many people that are creating things that look really beautiful or look really appealing, but it's doesn't it's not necessarily a reflection of expertise. It's just a reflection of kind of like good taste. So it's almost like a. I'm not saying that that people don't have good taste on social media. I'm just saying that there is a difference between real expertise and then just being somebody who has. Like I feel like I could decorate my house, but I would never consider myself an interior designer because I don't have that expertise. This is the back end stuff. Do you feel the same way? Do you think there is a difference between somebody who is a decorator versus somebody who is an interior designer?
Yes, yes. And I think, I think there's a lot of times when I feel like we sort of get not pushed to the sideline a little bit, but, there's an architect that there's always like a big admire and respect to an architect. And I think a lot of people just assume like interior designers, interior decorators just sort of fall into the same category and we're just like picking colors.
And pillows, yes.
Yeah, and pillows.
Yeah.
But like we need to know a little of everything.
Yes.
Right? Like from window treatments to construction to furniture. I mean, we do everything from all the interior layouts.
Yes, yeah.
So, when we're working with clients, we're really like, we'll help you sort of talk about the many stages of life and then also sit on your toilet and figure out where to put your toilet paper holder.
Yes, all those little elements, right? That are really important when you think about it, right?
So, we do it all.
Yes, exactly. Everything.
Literally everything.
And you mentioned expertise before. I feel that in my world, in the world of real estate, with some of the changes in the past few months, I think that this conversation about true expertise has come back to the forefront. And I think it's important. I think that in times like this, in which people are not necessarily feeling at their easiest times, I think that they rely on experts in those areas that they are looking for advice. Do you feel that really is what's going to become like the major part of your value, that expertise?
I mean, I hope so. Yeah, and I do think so.
Yeah.
But there's definitely, I think, because of sort of social media and like Pinterest and, there is a movement also that I see where people like might be hiring you to like bring their sort of like just be their sort of task rabbit.
Got it. Okay.
Right, and
just to pick the things that they want you to pick
and they don't necessarily
relying on your
right.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's obviously like clients that we worked with and that hire us for our true expertise.
Yes.
But
someone's coming. Answer the door.
Yeah, I think with time, like I think doing this for 10 years next year.
Yeah.
We are hired as for our true value.
Now, let me ask you a question about technology, AI. It seems like AI is kind of like, I wouldn't say it is intruding, but it's kind of like making us rethink how we do our work. What do you think are going to be the opportunities in your business around AI? How do you think it's going to shift?
So I think it's obviously good and bad, right? I think we have to use it. We have to absorb it and bring it to our, use. Otherwise, we're going to fall behind. And I think there's many ways where we can show clients so that there are no surprises in the end and use the technology to show really what they're getting. So that, like to the renderings. And I think all those renderings and things that we've done in the past that used to take you weeks and weeks. Right. It's going to be faster and faster.
Yes.
So I think in that sense, it's great. And, it's something that we have been incorporating. But I think there's also like an element, like you're saying, like, you can never replicate the true user experience, right?
Yes,
with
yes.
technology.
Yeah.
And I also think there's something that doesn't truly come to real life when you're looking at a rendering.
Yes, yeah.
So there's this fine balance of, I don't know, like keeping your imagination open.
Yeah, no, listen, I think it's every time that a new technology comes along, realtors go out of business. Every time that if you read every article about everything that happens,
Right.
we're always out of business. I'm sure it's the same thing with
Yeah.
every single profession, but it's really just about adaptation and how do we use those tools? Because ultimately it's a tool. It's
Yeah.
not an answer to every single issue. And
Yeah.
I feel the same way about AI,
Yeah.
right? At least in my world, a friend of mine, I was talking to the other day, Michael New. He was saying, AI is not going to replace the real estate agent, but the agents that do not adapt to AI are going to be left behind by the ones who do. And I think that is, like the challenge.
And also, like, I think same for you, but a lot of our job is like problem solving,
Yes.
right? And like there's always a problem, and we have to manage that situation. I
Yes.
feel like that's 90% of my job.
Yes.
You can't text your AI friend,
No. Yes. Exactly.
with
yes.
a problem. So I don't think, we're gonna
Be replaced.
right.
Yes. Yes.
I don't think like our profession
Yeah.
means less
Yes.
because of the emergence of AI.
Plus, you
but-
said that your business is very, related to relationships, and so that's what's always going to keep you busy. That's what's going to keep you,
Yes.
Your clients coming back.
Yeah.
It's the ability to work with you, not with the tools that you have, but directly with you.
Right.
Yeah. And so now, let me ask you the last question. What do you think is the key to success?
Key to success. Working hard.
Okay.
Not giving up. Staying true to yourself.
Okay. I
I
like
think-
that.
I think that's
like
it.
that. Well, Alina, thank you, my love. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Cheers to you. Congratulations on all your success.
Thank you. And
And
thanks to you,
Oh,
by
no.
the way.
No,
A lot of it.
Oh, no. We work together quite nice, and it's always a joy. And so to you guys, salud. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. I would love to hear from you, so please make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you next week.